Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 178 of Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet. My name is David Howe.
My name is Matthew Stoner.
My name is Patrick Nisley.
Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special returning guest to today's episode of the show. We got Jay motherfucking Rios on the show. How's it going, Jay?
Howdy, y'all. Doing pretty good. How's everybody else doing?
Oh, great. Having a great time.
Nice.
We got you on, Jay, because we're talking all about Nintendo Switch Online this week. Nintendo Switch Online has turned 4. We figured it was time for an NSO check-in. See if the service is worth it. There's a lot of hemming and hawing about whether or not it is. We're going to be checking in, going over all that stuff and see if it's worth the $50 a year value, particularly for the expansion pack service. On top of that, we got lots of news and rumors to go over in our news section. The Splatfest, we have results from that. Ted Lasso is showing up in a soccer game. Which one it is, you probably already know. It's Mario Strikers. And then we got a Mario movie teaser trailer date. Picross S8 is coming out, and a whole lot more. We got a whole lot of news to talk about on the show. Before we get into that, how are we all doing this week? We have a good week?
I'm pretty good. I took last week off and just relaxed at home.
Damn.
I washed my car. I woke up on a Monday. I washed my car. I did lots of stuff around the house. It was very chill. No vacation.
Jelly.
Just it was great. It was great to relax.
Yeah, I got to do one of those, man. I keep taking mental health days, like sporadically. I'm like, I just need a mental health day, but a mental health week sounds really nice.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna eat a salad for one day to offset the whole ass pizza that I ate before. And
Yo, that happened to me today.
That happens to me too every Monday. Everyone who's listening and here right now, everyone deserves to take a break. Go ahead, take a break.
You deserve rest.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fuck the man.
I'm doing fine. I don't know. It was a bit of a blur. We had a lot of illness in my house the last week, so I didn't get a ton of things done, but I played a lot of Splatoon.
So a very cute video of you and your kid jumping around in fry outfits. Is that what you guys?
Yeah.
You had big Aladdin pants on and doing the dance. Yeah.
Trying to dance like Fry. We spent a long time like watching Fry's dance moves and then tried to recreate them.
So cute.
That's great. Magnus 100% on board with Splatoon then. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, he's having fun.
Yeah, great game. What about you, Jay?
I'm doing all right. My house that I live in, we all just got COVID for the first time.
Right.
But we're good now. As of last week, all negative. So now I am re-emerging back into life. Very happy to not have COVID anymore.
Yeah, that's good.
I know you're going to plug this later, but you also have an event coming up.
Yeah, I got 2 wrestling shows coming up, and definitely ramping up for those. And yeah, I'll plug those later, but very excited for them.
Oh, that's great. You gotta dangle the carrot on the plugs.
Yeah, make
so
them
they stick around to the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Stick around.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta don't fast forward.
I'm gonna put the time codes.
I mean, I'm doing okay. I had a lot of video games this weekend. So much Splatoon. It was a Splatfest, right? So we were all playing. Did a lot of that on Saturday. Though it's like I went and saw a show, and then I also went to a friend's birthday party, and then also went out to a bar at like separate times during the day. And then in between all of it, I was like playing Splatoon on all the downtime.
Uh-huh.
So like it was like a very mentally exhausting day. And I was drinking throughout, like sporadically throughout the day as well. So I felt like Saturday. I had to recover after Saturday. That's why I bought that big pizza.
Celebrate.
To just eat bread and cheese and pass out. You know what I mean? Yeah,
It's the best.
Anyway,
Did you do Fantastic Fest stuff, David?
No, but tomorrow is a Tuesday. We're recording on a Monday. My friend Ben is in town, and he is a special effects and kind of puppeteer, costume designer kind of guy. And he worked on this movie called All Jacked Up and Full of Worms that's screening tomorrow. And he said he got me a ticket for it. So I'm going to go, I'm going to step out of work. That'll be my mental health week is stepping out of work for about 2 hours to go see a movie that's probably going to stress me out. But I'll be going to that tomorrow. So I'm excited to see at least a movie at Fantastic Fest this year.
Well, last week we talked about Splatoon 3 because, we had to talk about the direct. And so we talked about Splatoon 3 last week. We got lots of great comments, including over on the Discord, Ivy, our friend, who's really into Splatoon right now, talked about, the single player mode and how coming off of the Octo expansion, which they had just played, made the single player mode feel more accessible. And some other thoughts about finding videos online for help and that sort of thing. Over on YouTube, we got a comment from Hans Guger, which I love that name. And they said it's their first foray, or should they say moray, into Splatoon, and they're having a blast and really glad to jump in on the new game.
Also, welcome to the Discord, Hans. Played a lot of Splatoon with Hans over the weekend. That was a fun time.
And then our friend Ant Keeps Gaming came by to say that they have also been playing the Octo expansion from Splatoon 2 and just finished that up and are going to pick up Splatoon 3 at some point soon. And we're sad to miss out on the Splatfest with us, but they'll be, I'm sure Ant Keeps Gaming will be there with us on the next one. So,
yeah.
So, we appreciate hearing from any listeners or viewers. Please leave us a comment, send us a DM, share the podcast somewhere online, like it, and subscribe on YouTube. That would be great. We'd appreciate that.
Yes, please.
And we're going to talk about the Nintendo and gaming news and rumors for the week. We'll start off with Splatoon 3. Splatfest happened as a big event over this past weekend, the 23rd through the 25th. And most of us in the Switch Headz community were on Team Gear, and Team Gear won.
Let's go. Let's
Matthew,
fucking go,
congrats.
gang.
Matthew was not on Team Gear. But
What team are you on? You're on Grub?
I don't want to talk about it.
I wanted to do Grub at first, to be fair.
That was my gut. That was my gut reaction.
Mine too. I was like, I need to eat.
Well,
Exactly.
Sometimes you think you vote with your heart, and voting with your heart doesn't work all the time.
Yeah, that's why Ralph Nader is not the president.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's why.
that's why.
That's the only reason.
So it was interesting to see how they did the point allotment a little bit differently in Splatoon 3 than it was in 2, as I recall. There's 4 categories now, and they're weighted differently and stuff. It's kind of cool, I guess. That way, presumably, each team could earn points and such. But
The majority of players were on Gear. Gear was a very popular pick. I mean, it swept our Discord's poll really quickly, and it was like, oh, okay, I guess we're going Gear.
Yep.
But it was like 55%, I think, of all players chose Gear. So it was an uphill battle for the other ones, definitely. At least, there's no way they were going to win the popularity contest, right?
right. There were a lot of connection issues at various times in the Splatfest. Anecdotally, from a lot of our community members and me personally, I kind of had good runs and bad runs. I don't know about y'all, where it felt like it was frustrating, and at other times it didn't. Like it was going well. Typically, when I was like in a groove of playing with the same people, it seemed to not have issues. But yeah.
I was getting them with other people too. I was getting lots of weird ones.
It was a lot for me too.
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest blight on this game, right? Like,
Yeah.
for an
Not
otherwise,
just the Splatfest, right? Like,
yeah, not just the Splatfest, just in general. It's like a pretty remarkable, super fun, exciting game. But man, the connection issues, you just can't ignore them. It's like, Mario Maker 2, like, should be one of the greatest games of all time, but it's got horrible, unplayable online, and Splatoon isn't that bad.
No.
But it's like, it's definitely a blight. I mean, I was getting tons of different issues too. Like I got the ones where it's like your connection is unstable, and then it's like the last 10 seconds of a match and I'm just frozen there and people are murdering me and we lose because of that. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know what I could have done to make that different. We got a weird one where it was me, Austin, and AVK in a room, and then Emma was trying to join, but it said that we were in a match, so it wouldn't let her join. So she thought she was joining another room, and then I got kicked. But then it ended up Austin, AVK, and Emma were in a room, and I was just kicked. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's this weird thing where she kind of took my place even though it was my room. It was just like a whole bunch of weird shit constantly happening. Not a great look, unfortunately.
Yeah, and similarly with the tricolor battle, there were some issues there. That there's a mode. I mean, we could talk about this for a while, and maybe we will at the end. But there was a mode, tricolor battles, the new mode for Splatoon 3. But it was hard to get these. In fact, I spent, I don't know, almost 2 hours with my son thinking, just the two of us could queue up for this, because we were on the losing team at that time. Thinking 2 people, that'll be perfect, right? That's what you get. And we never got one. And that was, at some point he goes, I don't even want to play anymore. You know what I mean? Like after an hour and a half or whatever, he's like, this makes me not want to play the game. Oh, and it's like, that's legitimate feeling, right? Like
yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, there are times where I said that just because I was losing a lot. I definitely was like, oh man, am I about to throw my Pro Controller across the
room? But there were some reports that the incidents of tricolor battles were down by 20%, that they had been happening at a rate of 22% in the pre-release Splatfest, and they were down to closer to 2% in this one. I don't know where those numbers exactly come from and that kind of thing, but
yeah, that was from some independent polling, I suppose, of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, sounds about right to me. I never saw one. I never saw a single one the entire time.
Here. Yeah.
And I mean, now granted, it was about halfway through the second half when the tricolor battles like to show up that I realized it's its own mode.
Right.
Right. And then I was like, oh fuck. Okay. Well, that's why. But then I switched to it and I still wasn't getting it. Right.
And I'm sure that this is maybe not the issue, but I also think if this mode is clearly unbalanced, right? Like, which it feels like it is.
Mm-hmm.
Why, as the winning team, are you going to select it if it's a selectable mode? Right? Like,
oh, right. Yeah, I think I see what you're saying. I don't know, because it's fun and you're a good sport.
I mean, probably some people would, enough to maybe make it happen more than it did. But like, I could also see like, we're on the winning team and this doesn't favor us. I feel like it should just be you're forced to play it every once in a while or something. You know what I mean? Like,
I've seen this kind of online, like maybe in the Splatoon Reddit, but it was kind of this theory that like Nintendo's kind of burying it right now until they can figure out how to balance it properly. It's like basically they realized it was unbalanced during the demo, and then it was coming up a lot, and people were just like, fuck this, and so now they just like made it so rare to where like most people didn't even get it, so they can just keep tinkering with it until the next Splatfest, and then it'll go back up.
Yeah.
I don't know if I buy that, but
I think it will be improved in terms of all of this at some point. But yeah, I think it makes sense to me that they're working on some of these issues.
There's this tweet from Oatmeal Dome, who does a lot of data mining stuff. But they did a tweet a couple of days ago that said Nintendo has stated that this change is temporary and that they will be making more changes at the end of the season in December.
That makes sense.
In relation to the decreased tricolor battles.
Right. Yeah, I think they're just still figuring it out. I really think they kind of just missed an opportunity to just make unique 3 base stages and just have 3 people go at it. You know what I mean? I think that probably would have been more fun than this weird kind of just repurposing like an existing stage and making it a 3-team stage is kind of strange, So
yeah, and 100% on with all of this.
Yeah.
So at the last Nintendo Direct, Radiant Silvergun, a shmup, a shoot 'em up game, was announced as coming out that day, but apparently it got pulled from the eShop, right? Like instantly. Well, it's back up now, and you can now buy it. And as far as I know, was it ever announced why it was pulled down, or do we have any?
Yes. The publishers basically said it was a rating issue, so it was something was improperly rated. And then in order to get that back up on the eShop after it's pulled, it has to go through the whole kind of, lot check rating process from within Nintendo. And so that's just a long process, right? So I think they probably brought it down thinking they could put it right back up. And then they were like, oh, we got to wait like a week or whatever, right?
Yeah. And then, as David said, Ted Lasso, the fictional soccer or football, depending on what part of the world you're from, coach, and his fictional team, AFC Richmond, is going to be playable in FIFA 23. So that's cute.
It's great.
It is great. I mean, I like Ted Lasso.
I haven't watched it, so I have no opinion
Oh,
on this.
okay.
I love Ted Lasso.
Yeah, it's a good show, and I love it too. And I think it's interesting. Do you think FIFA needed this, or do you think like it's probably a lot of money involved here, right? Like,
I can't think of any other time where there's been a fictional team joining a professional sports
realistic
game,
yeah.
like a simulated sports game. Like even in like NBA 2K or Madden, they'll have like legendary, like they'll have old players and they'll form a team. You can play us like that. The 92 Chicago Bulls or something.
Right. Does Spider-Man and Tony Hawk count?
It's a very realistic sports
true.
sim, yeah.
or an alien.
Yeah. Or Officer Dick, the real
Oh yeah.
famous skateboarder policeman.
Is this a thing where like I haven't watched the show? Do you play as Ted Lasso in the game, or like
He's a coach, so I don't.
Okay.
He's a coach. For,
I should.
What about all the
Championship.
characters? Like, are all the characters from the show? They're all in the game and everything. It's not
looks
just
like-
Ted Lasso.
I don't know
Yeah, one
how
of the-
many likenesses they have, but right now they have Jason Sudeikis, Brett Goldstein.
Oh, okay,
Who is going to be a Hercules in a Marvel movie,
right, yeah.
and Beard from the TV show. I can't think of the actor's
Right. Yeah, the guy looks like Curtis Luciani.
name. Yeah, exactly. They do look similar.
He looks exactly like
Yeah.
him. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
Curtis. I just dead named you. Dead named is not the right term. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on.
But I think this is interesting because Apple has the rights. Next year, the next season, we'll have all MLS rights for streaming. No blackouts on Apple TV. So and Ted Lasso is on Apple TV Plus. And it's a Warner Brothers.
So this is like a
Nice.
big multimedia corralling sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's probably just a marketing campaign for the TV show, but ultimately maybe a service. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Speculate.
I didn't know they were getting MLS
Ah.
on Apple TV.
Yeah, it's
I know it was Warner.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Ted Lasso in multiverse is what I'm.
That's what is part of the leaks.
That's what people have been saying.
Is that true? Really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh wow! I was making a joke.
So
I'll take
funny.
it.
Yeah. And then, there's all these rumors about Warner getting sold as well now. Have you guys been hearing about that too? Like,
Yeah.
just Discovery buying Warner just to flip it. Basically, that's why they're gutting a bunch of it to like make the valuation better. Anyway, it's a whole nightmare. We live in a nightmare world.
We do.
Truly.
But no, this is cool. What do you guys think this means for Apple getting into the gaming space? You think this means
I
anything?
think they're already doing okay there.
All right.
They got
cool.
the arcade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good.
In more soccer video game news, the Mario Strikers Battle League second free update came out, and I have to admit that I have not tried it. I have just been playing Splatoon. In addition to like the things that were announced, right? Like Pauline, Diddy Kong, the new stadium, the new gear, they have done a lot of balance stuff, at least according to the patch notes. So I am interested to try it out. I was pretty happy with this game, but there were a few problems. And in particular, they have noted that the CPU behavior is improved so that your teammates will mark opponents better, which was a big problem in the game, where you would the other team would like pass right by them and you'd be like, what are my teammates doing when you played by yourself? So I'm kind of curious to go back to this, but I'm kind of addicted to Splatoon, so I may never. And then in more Mario news, the Mario movie, Super Mario Bros. Allegedly, we'll see. We'll find out soon because they're showing us a teaser trailer on October 6th.
That's like a week away, gang. That's like not that far.
It's not that far.
We're gonna hop on
And-
Discord and watch it together.
For the like
reaction.
30 seconds of
Yeah,
it.
the minute long live stream.
Yeah, let's do it. That sounds fun.
Sounds
Yeah,
Um,
that does sound fun. Maybe we'll do a reaction video, and we should be part of the reaction. Maybe that'll be what blows our YouTube channel up.
Is Chris Meledandri gonna be name dropped in the teaser
fucking
trailer?
hope
In the
so.
trailer?
Let's go.
I mean,
He should
he's
come out
every
like-
other time it is. Like,
Has
He
to
should come
happen.
out like the bit like how they do it, like when directors come out before a movie in the theater. He's like, "Hi, I'm Meledandri Sama. This is
my
my
good
film
friend
that I
Shigeru
made with
Miyamoto.
my best friend Shigi Miyamoto's."
Shimo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And they come out, they show their matching tattoos because they're best friends.
it's each other's face on
Yeah.
their body.
It's like Mario and a minion holding hands.
Oh man, dude, I really want to. I want to get a tattoo of Mario and a minion kissing.
Me too. That would be kind of sweet.
All right. Well, I don't
Anyway.
know. We'll have more to talk about with that. Maybe.
Do you think we'll hear his voice? Do you think we'll hear his voice, or do you think it's just going to be just like a remix of like a Kesha song but slow mo? You know, it's like, and that's
It's gonna be a
it.
choir singing.
About to blow.
Man, that's a hot and dangerous take, David.
It'll be like sweet dreams, are made of these," and then it'll go like, and then it'll go.
Just Mario's eye.
I bet it's
I
gonna be
think-
that.
No, I think we're gonna get the coin sound, but in
Oh,
slow
yeah.
mo and
Oh, yeah.
reverb.
Oh, that's cool. Cool. All right.
We'll
Well,
see.
those
All
are our
right.
predictions.
There you go.
Okay, well, it's going to start. It's going to be Chris Meledandri's face, but it's going to be the N64 when you start up Mario 64, where you like can pull the face.
Oh,
They like stretch his face.
Oh, I bet that's gonna be the credits of the movie. Honestly,
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
we'll see.
Oh, dude, we could do bits about this all day. So
Yeah. We should move on. In other video game film based news, Last of Us, the show, which is going to be on HBO, correct?
Mhm.
Has also now had its a trailer released. I haven't had a chance to watch this. Have y'all?
Looks tight.
Yeah, looks good. Yeah, looks like about exactly what you would think it would look like, right? No real surprises, which is a good thing. I think it's the game already had really great art design and direction in its own right, right? So if they're just doing a pretty straight adaptation, seems like the right way to do it.
Nice.
Yeah,
There we go. Moving on.
yeah. I guess
Any
that's
other
it.
comments?
Yeah.
When's it come out?
That's it for that.
Yeah, that's a good question. When does it come out?
It's
look it up.
sometime in 2023. I think it's an
Oh, okay.
unspecified 2023 date, but
Mm.
I do think this is like, if we should probably editorialize this a little bit. This, I think, will be a huge indicator of where video game stuff goes in the future, right? Like
Interesting,
live
yeah.
action video game adaptations, right? I think if this thing is not good, I think all of these prospective live action stuff that's about to come out is going to get canceled or flop or whatever. You know what I mean? Or like they're not going to go through with it. I mean, we've got like Fallout coming and stuff like that, right? But I think if like that failed, they would just like chalk it up to whatever. But I think so much is riding on Last of Us to be good and to get really good viewer numbers to make the video game at live action adaptation market like finally have clout. I think it's already gotten there with animation. And this is going to be a huge indicator, right? And I think the fact that it's on HBO, which is known for like prestige drama television, is huge, right? And it hopefully works out for it.
Yeah, because we have The Witcher, but that's ongoing. Assassin's Creed, bunch of other. Yeah.
So much.
Yeah, there's lots. Jeff Keighley put out a tweet recently being like, "Hey, what video game adaptation are you most excited for?" And I was just looking at all the lists of everything that everybody said, and I was just like, "Holy fuck!" There's like
The live action Pac-Man.
yeah,
The live
yeah,
action
starring
Twisted
James
Metal.
Marston. Yeah, yeah, there is going to be a live action Twisted Metal show too. Yeah, it's wild stuff.
I'm
Really
familiar
crazy
with
time.
that one. My favorite wrestler is going to be on that, so I'm excited.
Nice.
Okay, well, we'll move on. Picross fans rejoice. There's a new Picross game. Picross S8 is coming out September 29th, shortly after this podcast releases. So if you've beaten all 7 of the Picross games,
Have I?
I'll get started.
So there's about 150 puzzles in each game, 300 if you count the Mega Picross, and then even more if you count the Super Picross. And I've beaten 7 of them now. Not all 100%, but I'm just trying to like do the math there. It's a lot. It's probably, you know, about 2,000 puzzles, I'd say, altogether between all the games and spin-offs and clip Picross puzzles and stuff like that. And I'm fucking ready for more, baby. Bring it on. I'm going to be getting this day one. And if there's a demo, I'm going to download the demo and play those puzzles. And then when I get the real game, I'll play those puzzles again because I've already beaten them in the demo.
That's how it is.
That's how it goes.
Well, there's also some other big Picross news here for fans of it, and maybe for newcomers especially, right? All the Picross S games are getting an update to include touchscreen. Does that really helpful, David?
No, touchscreen is bad. Don't do it on the Switch. I mean, it's like fine, but it's not like with DS Picross or like 3DS Picross, it made sense to use the touchscreen because you had a way more precise stylus. You know, I feel like the new styluses are like thick boys. You know what I mean? So it's like if the squares are small, it's like inaccurate. And then also you were like zoomed in on the bottom screen and you would see the full puzzle on the top screen, right? So for this, it just doesn't make sense. It's way faster and better to do it handheld, I think.
So that might not be that great of a thing then, but they're all getting multiplayer, right?
Yeah.
Is this up to 4-player multiplayer? How does that work?
So every Picross S game has had multiplayer, but it's just been 2-player multiplayer.
Oh, okay.
And I think the gimmick, because every Picross S game has to have one new feature added to it, basically, right? They've been doling them out like over 8 games now. And this one it's getting 4-player multiplayer. And it's way more fun than it sounds.
Just like Picross itself.
Yes, I would agree with that. But no, I mean, I've played 2-player multiplayer before. And I had such a fucking blast. Like, it's like way more fun than you would think when you're playing with other people. I can't really explain what makes it fun. You're just going to have to trust me, which is why everybody should buy Picross 1 through 7 and Master System Edition and beat them before Picross S8 comes out. No, don't do that. But no, but it's a really fun time, and I can't wait to do it. I wish I had online multiplayer. I think that would be even more fun.
All right. Well,
Jay's making a weird face. What's that weird face about, Jay?
I'm
What do
just
you think?
thinking
I'm
about-
like? Do you think I'm like weird or something?
No, I just think we need a live action Picross. That's it. Just thinking about that.
Let's say it. You know, once live action Picross comes out in the spring, like it depends on how good it is. It could affect the entire video game industry.
Well,
Yeah.
thankfully, it's going to HBO, which is no
Okay.
prestige puzzle television. Also, quick. I want to put this out in the world. I'd really love to have Per Schneider from IGN come on and talk Picross sometime. I brought that up on Twitter and he liked my tweet, so I feel like it's within grasp, right? Would you guys do a whole Would you guys like let me do a Picross episode on the show?
of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would let you, definitely. Yeah.
All right, we'll see if we can make that work.
E3. There's been a few new details about E3 coming back next year. 2023 is the return of E3. We got a date, or dates rather, June 13th through the 16th, and it's coming back to the same place, the Los Angeles Convention Center. And they've announced that it's going to be over the course of those days. It's going to be the first couple of days are for business only, and I think they're going to try to really focus on that, like to make it a better experience for people there for that reason. And then one day of kind of mixed, and then the last day is going to be for fans, right? They call it consumers in the game industry.biz article, because gameindustry.biz is owned by ReedPop,
who's
Yeah.
putting this thing on.
yeah, which is putting this on now. And so they have details on an article there if you want to go check out all of the things they say, but that's sort of the highlights. How do we feel about that?
I'm excited. I mean, I've never been to an E3, so I'm kind of like maybe this is the year.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think I'm very happy to see it come back. I think 2 days industry only is great. I think that's a great idea. I think that's what the whole thing was made for in the first place. And I think you'll still be able to follow. Most people don't go to E3, right? And they just watch streams and they just hear stuff from the media and industry insiders that are there. So I think this gives them a better opportunity to get their coverage out for the majority of people who want to hear all this stuff. And then you got 2 days for fans to go as well, for consumers, as they should be called, because they're just bottom feeders. See, we in the media, we're a special kind of elite. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I think it's a great thing. What about you, Matt? Are you excited for E3 to come back?
Fuck yeah, man. Anything to like centralize, to bring the hype together for just a few days and just overwhelm us with content.
Yeah.
Give us those ads that we want.
Yeah. I am concerned, though, that even though they've said this, it's not going to come back. You know what I mean?
Early next year, they'll cancel.
Yeah, like this has happened. They've said it's coming back many times before, and
That's true. Yeah.
So hopefully it's true, and hopefully it's the case. But it's earlier this year that they're saying it, so hopefully they've got real concrete plans.
Well, talking about industry stuff, the US NPD, which tracks spending on video games. I mean, NPD tracks lots of things, but in the US has released their August numbers. I don't know if there's a whole lot to unpack here, but I think maybe of note for Matthew and just in general Nintendo fans is that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is still kind of holding on. Still in the top 10 best-selling video games across the board in the US. And topping, maybe not the number one bestseller, that's always fucking Mario Kart for Nintendo consoles, but it's number 2. And maybe of note for Donnie, Digimon Survive. And you too, Jay. Continues to be one of the top selling on Nintendo platforms.
I'm stuck on the game, but that's still good news.
Like you're not progressing any. Like
I got to a very difficult point.
Gotcha.
It's fine.
I personally didn't see anything else huge in this. I mean, there's always lots of great details if you're interested in sales numbers for the industry. Follow Matt Piscatella on Twitter. He breaks it down in great detail, and you can hear about, accessories sales and all sorts of stuff. But of note, those were the sort of things I saw. Elden Ring continues to be the best-selling video game of the last year. It's also a big one. So
I keep waiting for that thing to get down to like $20, and I think it's going to be a few more years.
You might have
it's selling so well.
Might be a minute.
Yeah.
And then last week we talked about the Rockstar Grand Theft Auto 6 leak. A bunch of videos of an early build of Grand Theft Auto 6 were put out by a hacker who's like, I guess, trying to get paid because they have other info too. I don't know if there's been any developments in that, and if there has, please share, because I haven't personally seen much. But
he's been arrested.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Did you not hear about that?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Please share.
He was arrested in England, I think in London. He's a 17-year-old, and he was arrested and is being tried by the authorities right now. Like, he's being charged. So it's
Yikes.
not going to be great for him.
God.
And this
17. Ew.
Yeah. And this next part I'm about to say, I didn't read from an official source. I read this on Twitter, but apparently from what I read, he is a part of a hacking group and was arrested either last year or earlier this year for other hacking incidents. Like, apparently he hacked into Microsoft, he hacked into Uber, and got into like a bunch of these different, like, big high profile companies basically, and was arrested then, but then let off because he was a minor,
17,
right? Yeah. And so now this is his second offense after these pretty bad crimes that he did previously. So it's not looking good right now. And it's not just him. He's a part of a bigger group of hackers, like I said. But he's the one that was like perpetrating it and the one who was doing all the social engineering and stuff like that to get into these like Slack channels or whatever that they had at Rockstar. So it's not looking good for this kid.
That's what's so fascinating to me is, like, we call this person a hacker. And in the big bucket of what a hacker is, it's true, but it's fascinating to me that a lot of the work was done via social engineering and just like talking to the right people and asking the right questions. And
Yeah.
cornering
especially
people.
at age 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To kids, man. I mean, like if you grow up in the 17, that means you were born in what? The 2005?
2005.
That's
Ugh.
insane, dude. Like you've just when you were born, everybody had iPhones basically already, like because you were like a baby. It's like, of course, I think they're all going to be good at computers and hacking and programming and stuff.
Yeah, hacking and stuff, but I mean like social skills. Like pretending to be something and that sort of thing.
If you're live your life online, if everybody's just doing chats
online,
anyway, it's like you're going to learn how to the best to.
You don't have to do it to anybody's face. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to be like, "Hello, ma'am. Hey, can I get you some chocolates if you let me pass?" Like a Saul Goodman sort of situation. It's not like that.
Well, that's I did not know a lot of that.
I didn't either.
And
I
so
was
I'm
playing
sitting with that.
San Andreas when they were born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one interesting thing that did happen is I guess there was some discussion, and I don't know who said this, right? Like, but on some board or some chat somewhere, somebody was like, these are the graphics for the game. The graphics are one of the first things finished in the game, and this game is going to go look bad, right? Which is not true, as evidenced by the many, and I mean many, many, many game developers who have now, this is really great if you're interested in this kind of stuff, released like short videos and stills of big games and small games, all kinds of games, to show placeholder art that was happening,
pre-alpha
early
graphics
on.
and stuff like that. Yeah,
and like not finalized art. And because when you make a game, you make mechanics first, people. You don't make the art first. But it's really cool to see, some of them are side by sides of video and that sort of thing. And Insider Gaming like did a thread of a ton of them, and so it's kind of fun to scroll through that.
That was a really great act of solidarity for the whole industry, I think, being like, hey, look, it sucks that you guys had your shit out there. We're just going to put our shit out there, warts and all, so everybody can like have a better idea of how game dev actually works, because it seems like so many people, especially entitled ass toxic gamer gate people, you know what I mean? Like just have no idea how their favorite hobby actually works, right? I think it was Imran Khan said something online about how that of course this is terrible, but also it would be better if there wasn't such a veil of secrecy over everything in the game industry. And I really think there's a lot of truth to that. I think like, we're used to seeing behind the scenes footage of how movies are made. You know what I mean? Like it's very common to see featurettes on DVDs and stuff like that. I just feel like maybe it's just because people don't want cameras in their game studios while they're like hunched over their computers. And I get that. Right. But it's like, I do think it would be great if more people were aware of how the sausage was made on video games. Right. I think we'd get a lot less people harassing employees of game companies on the internet in order to hit certain release dates if they knew how hard it was to actually fucking make games,
Yeah. It's funny because it feels like the secrecy is because of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But so yeah, there's a little problem there, but
it's catch-22.
That's it then for news for the week. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking all about Nintendo Switch Online and checking in 4 years into it and how it's doing. All right, we are talking about Nintendo Switch Online this week, the paid subscription-based online service that Nintendo provides for the Switch. It has been now 4 years, so we thought this might be a good chance. And it's almost been a year since the expansion pack came out, which we'll talk about. So it just felt like a good time to kind of do a check-in on Nintendo Switch Online and talk about, is the value there? How do we feel about it? Are any of the problems that were there at the beginning fixed? No, not really. But, I think it's more nuanced than that. So, yeah, just briefly, back in September 2018, this paid thing launched. For the first year and a half or whatever it was of the Switch, you just got to play online games for free. Because they kept delaying the release of this for whatever reason, and then they put it out then, and it came out at a price point of $20 a year. yeah, I don't know. What any big picture thoughts anybody wants to lead with? Like, how do we feel about Nintendo Switch Online as a whole? Is it hard to say in a sentence?
Yeah, I mean, I could give kind of my gut, like what came to my mind as you're saying that stuff, which is like, I mean, I think it shouldn't be that price. Probably not. When you compare it to other platforms at similar prices and the amount of stuff that you get for the same price, or at least the stability of their online systems, dedicated servers, integrated voice chat, all this kind of stuff, right? Like it should have a lot of the stuff that other people don't. That being said, for $50 a year, and really more importantly, if you can figure out a family plan, $10 a year for the
$80 split 10
80
ways.
divided by 8, right? It's really just kind of laughable that people complain about it to me. You know what I mean? Like as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I get it. I understand the complaints and they're not wrong. But I think when people are like, I can't believe I have to pay, you know, even back before the expansion pack, people are like, I can't believe I have to fucking pay for online. It's like, dude, it's $20 for a whole year. You know what I mean? And you're getting all these games with it, right? And now, of course, it's a little harder to defend. But still, at the same time, it's like, should it be better for how much you're paying? Absolutely 100%. But what you're paying is so little if you play it right, right? And it's not like something like Game Pass where it's like, oh, you can get a deal, but you're still dropping like $200 for 3 years or whatever, right? It's like, it's not like that. It's like, it's a lot cheaper of a setup. But
it's
anyway,
depending on the coupons, it could be, it's like 3 Domino's pizzas.
Hey,
yeah. Well, it depends on if you get delivery or pickup from store.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a pickup guy.
Yeah, me too. I got to get out of my house somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm lazy.
I think it's, I mean, personally for me, I'm on a family plan and have been on it since they existed, and other services don't have family plans yet. So like Xbox Live, Gold, and Game Pass will eventually, they're piloting some family plans, but this is like such an incredible deal. And I've been on a family plan since it released, and I've been trying to get a hold of Kyle Sweeney. Please take my money. But I haven't had, I've got it for free because every time I text him, like the one time per year, he never responds. So
yeah, that's funny.
Kyle Sweeney is my daddy Warbucks, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I'm Switch Daddy on a family plan, and I've got this one kiddo of mine on my Switch family plan that the only time we ever speak is the one time a year that I collect from him. And he only plays Splatoon, and I've seen him on Splatoon 3, and I'm like, hey, he's still got the online. It's still working for him. But yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I feel like you could go online and like find people to jump on family plans with, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You want to be able to trust that they're not just going to cancel on you after they get your money, but yeah, that's where maybe like a community comes in, like ours. But so I guess we should mention that like this number isn't super recent, but as of like a year ago, the Nintendo, I think maybe gave us the last number of people that are subscribed, 32 million of last year.
It's a lot.
And so, you know, I don't know exactly how many Switches were out in the wild at that time exactly, but you know, we now know that number is probably higher now, right? Like, because it's been a year, and we now know there's well over 100. So it sounds like maybe a third, somewhere between a third and a half.
Yeah, I bet
probably.
It's closer to a half. Yeah,
of people that own a Switch have it, and it makes sense if you want to play a game online. You kind of need it. So,
yeah. Well, what do you think, Jay?
It's
having been a subscriber now for a while.
Yeah, no, I think I've had it since the beginning, honestly. And yeah, my consensus is just like, it's good. There's a lot of good to it, but there's so much that could be better. You know, the online not being great is kind of the main thing, but at the same time, I was actually thinking over the weekend, I was remembering about Virtual Console back on the Wii, which I loved. But then I was remembering, like, man, if I was paying for all the games the Virtual Console way that I've played on this, I would have paid way more than the $50 a year. So it's like a mixed bag. I definitely think it's worth it, but I also definitely think there's just there's so much more they could do to make it just a lot better.
Yeah, I think they've done a decent job of adding to the value through some of the things we'll talk about later, right? Like these free games, quote unquote free, right? But it's that core online that's just, we talked about all these connection issues in Splatoon 3 and there's no voice chat and there's no invite system. I mean, there is now an invite system wide, but it doesn't actually.
None of the games that should use it.
And
it's always like weird third-party games that use it. Yeah.
And the one or two times I've used it, like Matthew and I tried to use it with Streets of Rage at one point. It was kind of confusing and didn't, you know what I mean? We'd be like, oh, you sent me the invite? Oh, but I tried to, so.
I think the conversation was, Patrick, I sent you the invite. Me. Where's the invite?
and then like, I don't know, I'll send it again or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, there's lots of little weird things about that with the Switch, right? Like, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but on your Joy-Con and your Pro controller, the home button lights up blue. Did you guys know that? It's got a little ring around it that can light up blue as a notification for games. Nothing fucking uses it. The only reason I know that it works is because I imported a European copy of Brain Age, right, to play on my Switch, and then I forgot that I had it tell me to play Sudoku at 11 a.m. every day. So for like a month, because I just never shut it off, my Switch would be flashing blue, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I got to play Sudoku," and I just never did. But
I had no idea about that feature.
Yeah, but that's like the online invite. Wait, what the fuck did I just say? Online invite feature, right? Is it's just one of these things that just isn't utilized, even though like every game should be using it, right? And then it wouldn't be so confusing if we were using it all the time.
Yeah, and then we can get into this too, which is again another little bit of a mixed bag. I think that they've had these bonuses, right? So if you're subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online, you get some content in addition to these retro content, which we'll talk about probably. But like you get these game trials, which I think is okay. They usually last for a week. I mean, it's better than nothing. But they're not, I don't know, a week. I don't know how the game trials doesn't excite me, I guess I could say.
It should be longer, honestly.
It feels
I always forget about it
and
that until it's over.
I don't think I've ever used a game trial.
No. Yeah. Well, most of the games that go on trial I own already.
That's true too, right? It never feels like a game. Either you're just not interested in it or you already bought it, right? It's never like a nice little boon of something that you've been meaning to. I don't know. It just doesn't hit for me.
For game trials, I agree with the idea that like it's either a game I already own or it's too late. And this is a legitimate question. How does Nintendo notify Nintendo Switch Online members that there's a game trial? Is that like only on social media? Or like when you get into the eShop?
The news app?
I mean, whenever you turn on the Switch, it's got like headlines or whatever on the left. It'll show game trials there. It'll show up in the eShop on the main page. And then, social media and stuff like that, right?
I see.
Yeah.
But I'm with you, though. That does feel like, hey, send me that blue ring alert.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Send me a notification on my phone via the Nintendo Switch Online app to say, hey, game trial starts in 4 days. Here's the game. Here are the dates.
I mean, I get why they don't do that, though. I mean, I think they want people to opt into stuff like that rather than have to opt out if they find it annoying, right? I'm sure that's something they've been through before. I mean, the Wii did a lot of that notification stuff. Remember the disc tray on the Wii would also light up blue.
Yeah.
And and that I think they used that so much that people were just really annoyed by it. Also the Wii was owned by a bunch of normies that were like, I don't know why my fucking thing is flashing. You know what I mean? And they just like were mad, probably. It's broken. Someone, GameStop, help me. So I feel like there's a degree of that, right? I think that I'm kind of getting off base here, but I think something that makes me realize how redundant and something that makes me think less of NSO and makes me almost resent the whole thing is owning a Steam Deck, right? And like pretty much every single thing that you get with Nintendo Switch Online, you just get for free on Steam, right? And especially now that I have a Steam Deck, it's like even more apparent to me the difference between them, right? It's like online chatting, included voice app through Steam itself, friend code thing, chat where you can easily connect with people into games and invite people, right? You don't have to pay to play games online. There's no subscription for that. You get freebie, you get game trials on Steam as well, the exact same way it works on this. They're just not behind a paywall. You know what I mean? It's just like all this kind of stuff. When you compare it to that, I know it's a little bit apples to oranges, but it's kind of also not. You know what I mean? It's just like something that Nintendo knew they could get away with, and so did it. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's before the Steam Deck. That's always been PC players complaining about consoles having these paid for online. Why do you have to pay for online? It's
just like PCs are now Switches, and so it's like the comparison is like way more clear.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it is fair to compare it to it, but also I think it exists more because of Xbox Gold and Live and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
The console standard, right? But back to the games thing, we also get Tetris 99 and Pac-Man 99, and for a brief shining moment, Mario 35.
R.I.P.
Every once in a while, I just remember that game existed and I get really sad.
Me too.
What a weird decision.
I love that game so much.
I don't
want to do the rest of the show.
Let's just cancel this whole thing.
I got the win taken out of myself.
This is a Mario 35 memorial episode.
When did Pac-Man 99 come out?
It was like last year.
I feel like it was like right at the beginning of COVID, maybe. I remember like we were talking about in the Discord a bit.
I feel like it was May of last year because I remember being in LA. I was at my brother's place when I recorded that tips and tricks episode with DCD because I recorded in his laundry room. and so I think it was that. I might be wrong, but
no, you're right. I looked it up. It was April of 2021.
Okay. Nailed it.
Nice.
So I kind of feel like we're due for something like that. Like that, I kind of expected something like that.
Me too.
This fall, and I mean, fall hasn't only begun, but you know what I mean. Like I kind of expected it in the September Direct.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of expected something NSO related in the September Direct, and all we got was more N64 games, and that's fine. But
yeah, because it got announced in the Super Mario Brothers 35th Anniversary Direct, which happened on September 3rd.
Wait, Mario 35?
Mario 35, yeah. Mario 35 got announced then, but then it got released the next month.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I guess Pac-Man was like...
Yeah, so we were on a roll of getting these little games. And,
Yeah, I mean, Donkey Kong 35 just makes like a whole hell of a lot of fucking sense. Can you imagine sending barrels to other people on their Donkey Kong levels that you're throwing at them? Like that would be awesome, right? That just it writes itself. I feel like that game already exists. You know what I mean? I mean that would have been a thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
The code
game development's it's so easy. It writes itself.
So long as they get the art done.
Just grab it.
The graphics are done. It was done in the 80s.
Copy paste. That's it.
Grab those graphics and slap them on a new game system.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. No, but I'm with you, Patrick. Let's talk about that for a second. I do think that I was very fucking surprised and very disappointed to not see any new NSO content other than N64 games, which frankly I expected to keep going on. I was afraid they wouldn't,
Right.
you know what I mean? Because I know Nintendo, but I think everybody expected that we wouldn't stop getting N64 games, right? Especially with that big leak that we got before that had Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 on it. We're like, oh, that's never going to happen because they just released Superstars. It's happening. I think that leak was totally right? That data mined into NSO. But I think that's beside the point. I do think it's very disappointing that we did not get a new console, that we did not get Game Boy Advance and Game Boy, right? I think that we'd be having a different conversation around NSO today if we had gotten Game Boy games on the base model and Game Boy Advance on the expansion pack model, right? But here we are another year and there's nothing new really. And I feel like we're all a little sour on it, right?
Yeah, I think we are. And I think to be hopeful, maybe without merit, is that the expansion pack came out in like late October. And so in theory, if about a month from now is when people's subscription renewal is going to come up. And if there are people that are like, you know what, this expansion pack wasn't worth it, I'll downgrade or whatever.
So was it,
maybe they will give us something.
was expansion pack revealed in an Animal Crossing direct? Is that what it was?
I think it was.
It was the Animal Crossing. It was the
Yeah.
Animal Crossing DLC, and it was like, by the way, you can get it with the new expansion pack, which is going to have N64 games and all this weird shit,
and
right?
Genesis games.
Yeah.
I remember because that's when a lot of people were getting like real pissed about the price increase. Yep.
You're right. October 15th, 2021.
It was a weird because then they released the trailer like right after the direct for it because it like the trailer for the anyway.
Man, I don't want to start a whole hype cycle about new stuff coming to expansion pack in a month. Are we part of the problem?
We are, but I don't know that you should expect it. You should probably not expect it. But I think that, to the extent that they do have something that they want to release to get people to stay on any tier of NSO, they might be holding it for early to mid-October for that reason.
That's good. It's good speculation. It's good speculation, Patrick.
That would completely. I mean, I like it, the thing in general. It could be better, but like if they add Game Boy Advance, game changer. Like, that's going to be amazing.
Well, that's another thing that the Steam Deck has taken the wind out of my sails a little bit because I just play Game Boy Advance games all the fucking time on my Steam Deck. You know what I mean? So it's like it'd be great. I think the main thing that Switch Online has going for it, as far as emulation is concerned, is multiplayer. Right? Because you can't really do that with emulators. I mean, you can, but it's hard. And you have to have other friends that are tech savvy and like know how to do net play through RetroArch or whatever and get all their shit together. And it's a lot of barriers to entry there, right? With NSO, you just go into the online mode, you find your friend and blah, 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 right? Then, of course, you run into the issues that you come into with online play, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I'm not really looking forward to playing GoldenEye multiplayer because I feel like that's going to be a total shit show with NSO's lack of dedicated servers, right? So anyway, now I'm talking in circles. I'm gonna let somebody else.
No,
talk.
it's okay. I also feel like a lot of the multiplayer on, especially maybe some of these N64 games, is got people have some thick nostalgia glasses on. Like I played some Star Fox 64 with some friends. We were like, oh yeah, I remember loving this, and we played the multiplayer, and we were like, this is awful. Partly because of the controls on the the controls don't map super great for some of those games on.
I feel like Star Fox actually maps perfectly to me.
Maybe it does, but I just had a bad experience of like the wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Took a long time to figure out the controls, and
I actually think that's one of my chief complaints now that I'm thinking about it, because you can't map controls in general on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so like I got the N64 controller, which I love for N64 games, but everything else is kind of tough, and kind of the vice versa as well. Like I can hardly play N64 games unless I'm using that thing. So I think kind of like between that and also like I know you can do. There's like a pixel perfect mode and some other screen thing. But I just feel like there could be more options. Like I kind of remember the SNES Classic.
Yeah.
Kind of did a really good job of that.
It had
like
some CRT filters. Yeah.
you could do more of them. And You can also do them like while you're playing the game. In my experience, I think you have to like get out of the game, add the setting, then go back in, which is like kind of inconvenient, really.
Yeah.
And when you bring up those controllers, that's one of the things they touted early on in these that talks about NSO is some member only offers, and so far the controllers have primarily been it. There was another brief shining moment where we had this thing called vouchers, where you could pay. Basically, it was like a buy two get one free, or am I right? Or was it half off or something?
It was you would buy a voucher. You would buy 2 vouchers for $100, and you could use those 2 vouchers on any number of games that were on a list. And most of the games were $60. So it's like you're eventually essentially getting $20 off, the purchase of 2 games. Yeah.
It felt like a good deal. And
you saved money. Yeah.
Didn't last very long.
Yeah.
And so I would love for that to return. Something like that felt like a good value, but we all kind of forgot about it because
if I'm not, I might be mistaken here, and Keeps Gaming, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like those are still a thing in Europe.
I remember hearing that in other regions they lasted longer. I don't know if they, if they still
right
are.
Now, there is a page, at least in Australia, where it's $134, and then there's a list of games like Pokemon Violet, Fire Emblem.
There you go. Yeah. So, I mean, that makes sense for Australia because they've been getting fucked on game prices for decades now. All games have always been more expensive there than anywhere else. But yeah, that was definitely something that I wish would have stayed around here. That is one thing that I think Nintendo has going for it over Steam is like gold points and all these kind of deals that you get every once in a while. You don't get anything like that on Steam. You get like points.
You sell your trading card for 1 cent.
Exactly. Or you get like an app for you get like a little picture for your home page or something. It's like, okay, I don't care about any of this. I want money.
And I'm jumping ahead to the expansion pack, but I do think one thing that the expansion pack does have decent value for is all of this DLC that they have started including. In particular, the Mario Kart and Animal Crossing, to a much lesser extent for me, the Splatoon 2, because that's the Mario Kart and the Animal Crossing came out at launch, so you knew, you know what I mean? And now they've also trained me to be hesitant to buy any, or to buy any DLC, right?
Yeah.
Like, because maybe it'll come out on expansion pack later. I don't know. So that might be a catch-22 there, but like the value of that Mario Kart DLC and that Animal Crossing DLC for me personally is pretty high. Because in my family, everybody played that Animal Crossing DLC. And, as part of our family plan, we all got it. And I played a lot of that Mario Kart DLC with my family too. So,
yeah, I've never played the Animal Crossing DLC. And I already bought the Splatoon 2 DLC.
Right.
But I have been using the Mario Kart DLC, which is great. I think the main problem with that is if you want to keep playing the DLC, you got to keep resubscribing every year, right? So if you're buying it just for that, you're having to pay, if you're keeping it for 3 years, you're basically buying the DLC 3 times in order to keep playing it, right? But I mean, it comes with a lot, and I think they will add more. It's just like we've always been saying, like they're going to add more, they're going to keep adding more. And they're just adding it so fucking slowly. Like they just add new stuff like so slowly, right?
Yeah. What do y'all think about like this expansion pack and these DLCs are for the 2 best-selling games on the Switch, which means that it's not for Smash, not for Breath of the Wild, not for Pokemon Sword Shield, Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Party, Ring Fit.
You got Splatoon. I mean, Splatoon is like what? What's that? Number 7 or something? Bestseller?
I don't think it is. I don't
know. Is it
know.
Not even top 10? I don't know. Splatoon 2 lies.
I feel like it might have gotten knocked out, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, that's interesting when you put it that way too, that it is, Switch selling games that they did it for. So it does make you wonder if the future ones added might not, if this might have been the hook. I mean, I'm really hopeful that Splatoon 3's DLC campaign will be, or whatever that is.
Yeah, just like day one.
will
on
just
the
be day one on
yeah,
this.
yeah. I
That
also
for me
hope that.
that'll be a indicator of
Yeah.
of sort of the future of this.
I don't think we'll ever see Pokemon DLC on this though.
No.
No. Uh-uh.
They're gonna
Because
try to get money for that one.
Because they do DLC now in lieu of doing a third game, right? Which is what
Presumably.
they've usually done, right? And so I don't think they want to stop that revenue stream from coming in.
Yeah. Then there's cloud saves. We have to pay for cloud saves, right? And not all the games support it. At least Splatoon 3 supports it, whereas Splatoon 2 didn't. And I know people were upset about does Pokemon not support it too?
I don't think it does. Maybe Arceus does.
There's this list. This is a Nintendo customer support article that says which Nintendo Switch titles are compatible with save data cloud backups, and then a list of games that are not compatible with the feature. So just it's a confusing thing, but the list is for things that are not compatible despite the name of the article being talking about saves. Just a frustration on my part. But there's a bunch of like Pokemon, Brilliant Diamond, Home, Arceus, Shield, Sword, Unite.
Okay, they're all
and Let's
not
Go.
supported.
They're all not supported by cloud saves.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense because of duping and stuff like that and cheating, especially in a game where you're trading with people online. But it's dumb. It's bad. They should figure out another way to get around it other than yeah. It's also cloud saves should just be included, dude. I mean, they should just be included. Again, take a lesson from Valve on this one, right? It's like everything just instantly goes up to the cloud so you can access it from any computer that you log into, right? It's just, it's whatever.
Yeah, the cloud save system is a little frustrating because like I'm playing Splatoon 3 so much and like it's trying to sync my data to my primary Switch all the time, and like every time my son is trying to play it, he has to like click through a bunch of menus that are like your cloud data is not up to date.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of annoying. It's like it's not even me. He's not even trying to play on my profile, and it's giving him all these warnings, and it's like annoying.
I got a similar thing with Fire Emblem. And I think that was because I played most of it on my first Switch, and then I bought the Animal Crossing Switch, and I kept getting that warning too, of like your save doesn't match the cloud, blah blah blah. And I was like I'd never touched it because I was so scared of like erasing my entire save files. Yeah, that was really
it's a
confusing.
weird warning in the way that it's implemented.
Yeah.
And then it also apparently even happens when it's not the profile that's like being used. So it's annoying. And it can't ever be up to date because I am literally playing Splatoon 3 every time he launches Splatoon 3. And so it's like it knows that it's not right. Anyway.
It's a catch-22. Joseph Heller, third reference to that book in one
third
episode.
reference.
Imagine going up. The thing I've been thinking about a lot is like the idea of loss leaders. You bring some of these features that we're asking are basic features that it doesn't add. They're features that we all expect, but they're to bring people in to keep them in the store so they spend money. So imagine like going to a Costco and you're buying a hot dog, it's $150, but you go to another Costco and it's $250. Like that's the cloud saves experience here, where it's inconsistent depending on the game and where you have to go check a bulleted list to see if the game you're playing is save data secure.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah,
and I guess we have to talk about the phone app. The phone app has gotten a lot of hate in general. I think largely because of it's how you voice chat is their solution, right? And because of that, people hate the phone app. But I think the phone app in theory could be an okay thing, right? Like if it was a companion piece, right? Which in sometimes it is, but the way that maybe it's, if it's like you're away from your Switch and you can look and see, I don't know, add a friend, right? Like if there was and that sort of thing. Right?
Yeah, I mean, adding friends on it now is great. Like especially I'll be on my phone and somebody posts their friend code in the Discord and I just hold it to copy it. And then I just go to the app and add it. And then they just friend me on their Switch and it works seamlessly. Right. But that was just introduced like a month ago.
Right. And that's one of the things that
this is
it makes
to
sense.
Me. Yeah. Yeah, it's way easier to add people on your Switch now. Yeah.
That is the kind of thing that I think having a phone app would make sense, or to see what, like, I don't know, see your Switch stats or whatever.
The phone app itself is not bad. Like I use the Steam app on my phone all the time, to browse for games, to add people, to like if I just buy a game and I want to download it, it'll just start downloading wherever I tell it to download, right? Like all this kind of stuff. Phone apps themselves are not bad. I think the reason that people resent the existence of the Nintendo Switch Online app is because it's required for voice chat, right? And they just think it's dumb to have two headphone things plugged in and all that kind of stuff, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I'll say this. No one ever talks about the Smash Bros stuff on the phone app. And I thought that was really cool. Like if I remember correctly, like you could do replays, and I think custom stages were on there. So when Smash came out, like I would use my lunch break just like, oh, look at this custom stage. And
just browse for stuff to download or whatever.
Like that was really neat to me. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
The Splatoon integration is amazing.
I think Splatoon stuff's so good.
Yeah, I think on a game by game basis, when they add in functionality into their games, it's actually pretty clever, right?
And Animal Crossing too. They did some really good stuff with that there. So like, I don't hate the phone app itself. I just hate it as a voice chat.
Right.
Yeah. And even then, it like works pretty well as a voice chat app.
Still
it's just like I might as well just be on. I might as well use Discord because I have a Discord community that I frequent. Yeah.
I think the pattern that I'm seeing here, like all of these services in the Switch app are for the best-selling games, or what would be probably on the best-selling games, which means we're not getting, 3D World or Mario Maker 2 content in the app.
Yeah.
Yeah. But how cool would it be if third parties were able to do in-game stuff in the app? If there was like a Killer Queen app, you could see where your friends were going to be on, and you could track scores with each other and all that kind of, you know what I mean? But again, I think I don't think they probably could do that, and then B, that would like fall on the developers, and nobody would want to budget that amount of time into their development cycle, right?
Yeah.
But it's my thoughts on the app.
I agree.
I think we covered like the big core parts of Nintendo Switch Online. So I mean, as we wrap this up, I just like, I don't know, what do we want? I think what we are saying was we want better online service, like better, like, and some of that's the Wi-Fi chip, I think, on the Switch. Like, some of it is related to that. I have had experiences playing Splatoon 3 where my son and I are in the same room. His is docked, right? Like with an Ethernet cord, and I am in handheld, and I get disconnected from a match and he does not.
Yeah.
And so, there's always this question of, does the Ethernet cord help?
I don't think so.
I believe it helps a tiny bit, but I don't think it helps. Like, it helps enough that maybe on certain cases where I've been disconnected in handheld and he hasn't in the app, but there has also been plenty of cases where we both get disconnected too.
Yeah.
So
I think the problem is it's all peer to peer, right? Nintendo needs dedicated servers for their games. They need to get with the fucking program.
Yeah,
right?
and I've heard people defend peer-to-peer as a system for certain things too, right? So just bad netcode. I don't know. Like they're just bad server. Like hire Amazon, hire Microsoft, somebody that knows how to. Halo can do it. You can do it, right? I have played Nintendo Switch Online games with Ant Keeps Gaming, like the retro games, and it just lags, right? Or teleports. It's terrible. But we've played Halo online together, and it was fine. You know what I mean? Like,
with Mario Kart 64, I noticed that. I think it was playing with you, David, and someone else. Like every other turn would just be like,
yeah, or the music sounds like it's being sang by a demon or something. Yeah,
music. I forgot about that. I will say,
the beautiful sounds, sonnets of demons.
Yeah. I feel like I sounded like a squid singing in Splatoon.
You did sound like the band in Splatoon. This is so stupid. I really like the clapping thing that you can do in there.
Oh, I do like that a lot.
Oh, that's nice.
That's a nice feature.
Worth the $50.
Yeah, that alone.
You can clap for your friends.
Yeah, it's like a Wii pointer without a Wii pointer.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but whatever it is, they do not have the infrastructure, right? And or the code or both. And it can be done because clearly some companies can do it and they just want to do it internally. And that's the problem.
I mean, as long as NCL is the head honcho and the person in charge of making decisions vis-a-vis the online infrastructure of Nintendo stuff, we're never going to see it be better. I think the reason that Microsoft was great is because it's here in the West with a more like gamer centric focus. You know what I mean? Sony started pushing a lot of their stuff out of Japan. I'm not saying it's all the Japanese fault, but it's like the people in Japan aren't going to have the same issues because they have better internet infrastructure in general, right? We've got a bad infrastructure here in the West, and especially in America. It's just not as widespread. You know what I mean? It took us a lot longer to get cloud gaming here than anywhere else, and it's way worse for us here than it is in Japan, right? I feel like they don't see a lot of the issues because it's catered to a Japanese market a lot of the time, right? You know, the Japanese market is very cell phone centric, very handheld centric. That's why the Switch does so well there, right? That's why the app makes a ton of sense in Japan, right? We're used to stuff from like Xbox Live. That was like our first exposure to online gaming, right? So we want stuff like that, right? I think Sony got the fucking picture and got on Microsoft's level, right? They also shut down all their fucking Japanese studios, right? Like Sony's essentially a Western company now, even though it's run out of Japan. So it's like, I just think that as long as like NCL and Kyoto is like making all these decisions, they don't want to budge, you know? And I think they got burned by having too much easy access to internet stuff in the past with fucking people sending their dicks to kids on PictoChat and, you know, and all that kind of stuff, right? And I think they just like have this very super safe kind of hesitancy towards online because they don't want it to be a bad experience for kids, right? But I think we're just past that now. You know, 17-year-olds are getting arrested for hacking into Rockstar. Okay, kids can handle it. Right?
My elementary school child is issued a Chromebook by his school, which you'd think would have restrictions on it, but I have gotten on that browser and you can Google things.
Yeah. You just like looked up like super hardcore
I didn't look
porn
up
on your kid's laptop?
I did not, but I just was like, can I even?
That's a test.
Hey, what was your Google string?
I just got on there to just see if you could Google, right? Like there are restrictions.
Honey, I promise. It was a test.
It was for research purposes.
Yeah.
But it just kids have access to things.
Of course.
Nintendo, we don't need Nintendo to protect us from it.
Yeah, but then you have weird stuff like the people who could just kind of draw whatever the fuck they want in Splatoon 3, right? You know, it's like there's just such an inconsistency there.
Yeah.
Right?
I've seen some foul drawings, to say the least.
A lot of furry stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
I see mostly the reactions to it. Like, kids play this game. Stop drawing.
Anyway.
Well, I think this has been an interesting discussion. We should wrap it up. I think, it's this Nintendo Switch Online is this sort of mixed bag of like, there's some good value, there's some good stuff, but some of the core promises, are a little bit of a letdown on the Switch system.
At the end of the day, I would recommend it because you have to have it to play online. Mm-hmm. And I think it's worth it. And it's nice to have access to these N64 games to be able to play online and Super Nintendo and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I think inevitably they are going to add Game Boy. It's just going to take a long time, and then that'll make it even more valuable. Right. But it's totally fair to criticize it. And I think that we should. And I think that the more people criticize, the higher chance that something actually gets done about it.
All right. We did it. We talked about it. We're moving on. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the games that we've been playing this past week. So I don't have anything to talk about other than Splatoon 3, which we covered a lot of with the Splatfest. But briefly, we kind of rolled through the Splatoon 3 episode due to scheduling stuff. And I forgot to mention one thing I wanted to say, which is that I have gotten away with purchasing one copy of Splatoon 3 and playing it on 2 Switches. And this might relate to Nintendo Switch Online a little bit and be a nice tip for those of you in a similar situation where maybe you have a family.
I know what you're going to say.
You have a secondary Switch that you play on as the owner of all the games. And this is that somebody who has a profile on your primary Switch, you can play online with them with one copy of a game. Hopefully this is making sense. It's not the easiest thing to explain. But I was thinking I might have to buy a second copy of Splatoon 3. And then I briefly had this moment of like, I feel like I heard that you can do this.
Yep.
And I looked it up and confirmed that it might work. And it does work for Splatoon 3. At least I heard that maybe there's some games where it doesn't quite work, but
it'll work with the total of 2 Switches, right? Because it's like if you buy the game on your primary Switch, you can access that game on a secondary Switch as long as it's your profile that bought the game on that secondary Switch. And then anybody else who has a profile on that primary Switch can also access it at the same time. Yeah.
Right. So a little bit of a workaround. Yeah.
Yeah, up to 2.
Up to
right.
2.
Because you can't play online as your profile on 2 Switches simultaneously. Right. Yeah.
So great way to also, if you have a friend over or something and you have 2 Switches and you want to play something like Splatoon.
As long as you're logged in on their Switch, and as long as obviously you have an active connection on the secondary Switch, right? Has to a check.
So is this physical or online copy of the game?
It's a digital copy. You wouldn't
digital,
really be able to do it with a physical copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's digital only. Right.
So that I wanted to mention. And then also I'm just obsessed with Salmon Run. That's my current obsession.
Even after your epic losing streak today?
I went on a pretty fucking horrible losing streak where I went down 2 ranks. I lost 14 in a row. But an hour later I went back and won a couple. So I don't know what was going on. That map, whatever, who knows? The weapons.
Is the kit of weapons.
It was my teammates. No, some of my teammates were my friends and they're better than me.
Wow.
So, they're good. They're good players. So I don't know. We're just on a bad roll there, but I broke that streak and it wasn't enough to deter me. That was another moment I think where actually we were playing with Summer and Summer was like, I kind of want to stop playing, you know?
There were several times during the Splatfest where I was like, have I wasted $60 buying this fucking game? What am I doing with my life? Why have I put... Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, how much hours
how many hours do you have in? Yeah. I just checked. I have 60 hours or more.
Oh my God.
In Splatoon 3 already.
I got 50 or more.
And then if you count the demo, it's 65.
Oh, that's true. I got 55 then, yeah.
That just reminds me to our JRPG club chat where like, I don't want to spend 100 hours on a JRPG, but you goddamn right I'll spend 60 hours on Splatoon 3.
Splatoon 3.
Yeah, well, it's like in 3-minute chunks instead of
No, I get it.
Instead of grinding for whatever. That's my problem with JRPGs.
We're full of contradictions.
We are. I do think that for me personally, this has got to be the highest amount of hours I've put into a game in a while, if not ever, like within the first week of release or whatever. I don't know. Maybe not, but
60 hours. 60 hours in the first 2 weeks is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a good chunk.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's me.
Cool. I'll go next. I've got kind of a lot to talk about, so we'll go through some of these pretty quick. Obviously, Splatoon. I'm not going to spend too much more time on that, but man, the Splatfest was so fucking fun. It had its problems, but at the end of the day, I love the Splatfest. I love Splatfest. I love that it's now. I love the time of now, right now, where everybody's playing Splatoon, and it's just like this great community thing. Finding people online to play with, and then friending people that you had good matches with. It's just so fun. I love Splatoon. It's such a great time. Also, on the other game I've been playing on the Switch is Super Mario Maker 2. There was this guy on Twitter who posted a super world that he's been working on for 5 years. And it kind of made the rounds. I think Game Explain picked it up. Bob Wolf, I think I saw it because Bob Wolf liked the tweet, and he's a big Mario Maker fan. And so I've been playing that Super World. And then because of that, now people that made Super Worlds that kind of went under the radar that they also put several years of their lives into making are like, hey, by the way, I made one too. And nobody ever talked about it. Didn't get a fucking Game Explain video, and then, so now I'm like, hell yeah, give me all your Super World codes. Right. And so that's been a really nice break from Splatoon hand, which I have, which is where you play Splatoon so much that your hands hurt. And it's nice to just go to a game that I'm really good at, like Mario, like 2D Mario. Right. And just it's just an easy breezy, fun platforming time that I'm doing on my downtime now. Which probably played a bit too much during work meetings today. And then real quick, on my Steam Deck, I've been playing a few things. I've been fucking around with some Wii emulation, and I got Donkey Kong Country Returns running, which is not Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, but the one that came out for the Wii. And I got that running on my Steam Deck. It's working really great. It's in HD. It's like upscaled to 720 on the thing on Dolphin. And yeah, and I was able to I had to do some weird control workarounds within the controller configurations within the Steam Deck UI, where it's because in order to roll in that game, you have to shake the stick. So I have it basically, I think by default on Steam Deck, if you use Steam ROM Manager, it has the L and R triggers as shaking the nunchuck and shaking the Wiimote, right? So I put just one of those on X for the roll, and it worked for the roll, but then it would make when he pounds the ground really slow because you're supposed to shake both. So I put both shaking the nunchuck and the Wiimote onto one button, which is X. So now I slam the ground really fast whenever I just hold X, and I can do a roll with it.
You got the turbo controller.
Kind of, basically. Yeah. But it's making it how it controls in Tropical Freeze pretty much, right? And so it's not nearly as good as Tropical Freeze. Tropical Freeze is a way better game in pretty much every way. It's a great sequel in that way. They just made everything better. But it's still fun to go back. I haven't really played this game since it was on the Wii. And so that's been nice. I played a new game called Hyper Demon that just came out. Super strange game that's really hard to explain. It's by the guy who made a game called Devil Daggers, which is Hyper Demon is kind of a sequel to Devil Daggers in a way. But it's this really psychedelic, bad acid trip sort of first person shooter game, where you're kind of just in this black expanse and there are all these strange, bizarre looking, almost crystalline demons running after you, and you have to shoot them out of your hand with these daggers that shoot out of your hand. It's incredibly difficult and really fast paced, and the timer is constantly counting down, and it only goes back up if you get kills, and then the highest, it's all high score based, right? So you're just trying to get the highest score, but time is constantly working against you. It's a really stressful game.
It's like a bullet hell
really
game.
Fun. Kind of. It's like a bullet hell first-person shooter, sort of. But then it's also got this weird camera thing where you can kind of see 360 degrees at once. Like the FOV kind of wraps around the side, so you can see people on the side, and then things that are behind you have a red outline in front of you. So you can see when something is behind you at all times. It's a really strange, almost overstimulating game. But it's cool. I recommend checking it out. It's definitely not going to be for everyone, but I just saw the graphics of it and immediately just bought it on a whim because I thought it looked really cool, and I'm having a fun time with it. It's pretty sweet. And then finally, the last thing I'll say is I started playing Police Knots, Hideo Kojima's Police Knots, which was the PlayStation game that he made before Metal Gear Solid, and it's a visual novel, kind of. It's kind of more like an interactive movie in a way, but it's kind of it's a point and click adventure mixed with an anime mixed with visual novel kind of stuff, right? And it's really cool, and it's you just see so much of Metal Gear Solid in it, right? From the way the menus work to the way it asks you to save after long cutscenes to the way the subtitles are laid out with the video and all that kind of stuff. It's very clearly Kojima just has his style that he does, right? And he's been doing it forever. And it's great. I mean, it's super fun. I streamed some of that the other day. I'm probably not going to stream that whole game. But if you want to see what that game's like, definitely check out the VOD on that on my Twitch channel. And yeah, that's I think that's about it. I've been fucking around with a couple other things, but I don't want to go for too much longer. But those are the games I've been playing this past week.
I've been playing Splatoon 3. Maybe you've heard of it. That's what I've been playing. I've been watching a lot of videos. This game's not out yet. It's an isometric Dragon Ball The Breakers, which is a Dead by Daylight dragon. It's a Dead by Daylight clone in the Dragon Ball universe where you play as normal humans trying to escape one of the villains.
But it's isometric. Is that what you said?
Maybe I said I don't mean isometric. I meant asynchronous, whatever the word is.
Yeah, it's asymmetrical.
Asymmetrical. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll drink some coffee to remember the right words.
Yeah, no, you're good.
But that game's not out yet. But I've been watching some streams because it's in beta, and it looks silly and ridiculous because these average humans running away from your Dragon Ball villains like Frieza or Cell, and they're trying to like hide, and it just looks fun and silly. And that comes out in a couple weeks.
Cool. That sounds fun.
I'm
Yeah.
excited for that. And then other than that, I've been playing a lot more VR this past week, just chilling, playing Blade and Sorcery and Super Hot.
Nice.
Have you guys played Super Hot?
Oh yeah, Super Hot's great. Yeah. Super Hot's great, VR or no. It's just a great game all around. Yeah.
Jay, how about you?
All right. Definitely been playing Splatoon 3. A lot of that, which is great. Splatoon is just one of those games neither me or my friends ever played. Now that I have like pretty much Discord server is like my main friend group play. It's such a blast, and I'm so glad to be playing that. Besides that, I actually bought Radiant Silvergun. Been playing that a bit. If you're a shmup fan, can't recommend it enough.
Doesn't get much better. Yeah.
It's so good. I'd never really heard much about it. And I'm so used to shmups where you kind of collect power-ups as you go, which I think there's still kind of an aspect of that. But from the start, you just have all these mechanics. Like you get like homing missiles and you get like side ones. It's great. So playing that, and then the new Monkey Island. I got that too.
Very cool.
That is great. If you ever played Monkey Island, pick it up. As much as I love point and click games, they haven't aged very well, but they've done a very good job of kind of like streamlining the gameplay a bit. And me, like a lot of people, when it first showed, I was like, kind of iffy on the art style. But once you see it like in motion, it's like, it works. It has its charm to it. It's a lot more expressive than you'd think. So it's great. And really, those are kind of been the main three. And I'm trying to finally finish Earthbound. I'm getting very close.
Very good. Very good. Digimon Survive at some point. You think you'll ever beat that thing?
I need to get back on Digimon Survive. I was, and I just got to a boss that taught me. It's like, oh, I haven't been doing enough battles. I need to get back on it. But it's still a great game. I'm loving it.
Very good.
That reminded me one plug that we should have done at the top, which is our JRPG Club is starting its new quarter. We just finished up Earthbound, and after a vote, overwhelmingly it was Live Alive. We'll be starting playing that together.
Very excited for that because I bought that game and I barely played it.
It's great.
So now I got an excuse to play it. Yeah. And it's not super long. I'm excited for that too.
Awesome. Well, that about does it for this episode on Nintendo Switch Online. Jay, thank you so much for coming on and joining us. Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, there's mosquito there.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to MilkyWay.co for doing our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick, online, I am PDYX.
And I'm Matthew on Twitter, MATHYU.
I'm pretty much ever on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Jay? Where can people find you and your son Snorlax online?
My two sons. You can find me on Twitter at Huge27. Also, if you're in the Austin area, I got 2 wrestling shows coming up. October 22nd at Pink Flamingo Plant Co. We got Fight Opera. And November 19th at Central Machine Works, we got Slamform. So both of those have their own social media pages, but please come check it out. Lots of wrestling. Great time.
Very good. Very good. We'll try to, let's see if we can put a link to those social media profiles in the description of this show. Definitely, if you're in Austin, you haven't seen Jay wrestle before. Ooh, it's a sight to behold. You're a great wrestler, Jay. I love watching
you.
Yeah, of course. And then if you'd like to find our show on social media, folks, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We got a website, www.switchheads.com. And then we got our Discord, man. Come join our Discord. It's such a great fucking community, dude. Such a great time. Really, I have so much love for everybody in the Discord. Everybody has been so chill, especially like a lot of the people that I've been like chatting with for the first time, like playing Splatoon. And I'm like, oh, damn, like I've always just seen you as text, and I thought you were cool. Now I think your voice is cool too. There's a lot of that going on recently, so make sure you join our Discord. We'd love that. That's going to do it on our episode on Nintendo Switch Online. What do you think about this? You think it's worth it? Let us know in the comments. If you're not on a family plan, hop on one, man. Maybe it'll change your mind. We're going to be back next week with an all brand new episode. So make sure you tune in for that next week. Other than that, I think that's it. You know the drill. Be safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Give thanks to the Lord for all his good deeds. Watch Andor, by the way. Great fucking show. Everybody should be watching Andor. I feel like that one's going under the radar because people are like, Star Wars shows suck. And most of them do. But man, this one's really good. Anyway, that's going to do it, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.